We welcome in Alex Barth, who is on the Western Hotline, Boston Sports for 98.5 The Sports Hub. Alex, good morning. Jeremy and Joe, Thursday Night Football tonight. The Patriots back at it tonight. Thanks for taking time this morning.
Absolutely, guys. Thanks for having me. Good morning.
We kind of have this conversation a little bit here. Like, do you think the division is over? Does New England deserve the benefit of the doubt here, you think, that they'll get this thing over the line one way or another? They play the Bills once. They have a tough game maybe with the Ravens. Other than that, it looks like a fairly favorable schedule. Is a general belief there that New England will get this thing done?
I mean, look, 7 games is a long time in the NFL. And with a young team that's going to be a little more erratic, you never know. But, yeah, people are starting to seriously talk division, and I think that win over Tampa is a big reason for it. A lot was made of the Patriots' easy schedule. I think some of it's justified. Look, they were blowing those teams out. They weren't just beating them. They were blowing them out. You can only play who's on your schedule. But you did want to see it against a tougher opponent. This was on the road, too, some tougher conditions. It was raining, and they went in and they won that one, and they won that one pretty decisively. So I think after seeing them beat a team like Tampa, the picture gets, and then, Buffalo obviously losing the same week, it gets a lot more crystallized. It's like, yeah, this is, they're in the driver's seat. This isn't just, they're up a game because they have the tiebreaker or whatever. It feels like in control of the division.
Right, because now it kind of sets up, Alex, where it feels like even if they were to fall to the 2 toughest teams they play, but they just win the games that they quote-unquote should win, I mean, the Bills would have to then run the table to win the division, and they're not playing at a level right now that it feels like that will happen. So I guess, do they seem like a team right now that will get through the easy games and not drop one? Tonight's another one of these. Like, do you think they have it in them to have a dumb loss to the Jets like we just saw the Bills have?
I mean, again, it's the NFL. You talk about tonight. It's a Thursday night game. Those are always a little weird. It's a divisional game, which is always a little weird, as you guys saw last week. So, Mike Vrabel, when he was introduced back in January, he was asked the pillars of his program, of what he was going to build. And the first thing he said was, at the time in January, we are not good enough to take advantage of bad football. That's number one. Take advantage of bad football and cut out our own bad football. And so far, this Patriots team has done that and done that emphatically. And, hearing that quote and just being a believer in what Vrabel does, that's where for me, that's where like my 10-win projection came from at the beginning of the year. Looks like they might soar right past that, but that's a tenet of his program, is taking care of the bad football. So if they can keep doing that, if Joe Burrow's back for the Cincinnati game in Cincinnati, that's a little tricky. Going into Baltimore, if Lamar Jackson's healthy, I don't care what their record is, that's a tough game. And then obviously Buffalo coming to New England. If they get, one of those 3, I think they're in good shape, especially if the one is the Buffalo game. If they take 2 of those 3, I did the math yesterday on the Catch 22 podcast with Evan Lazar. If the Patriots take 2 of those 3 and clean up the rest of their business, the Bills, I think, have to go whatever it is, 5-1, 6-1. They'd only have 1 loss left down the stretch of the season. And ultimately that game in New England between the 2 probably settles the division. And there is a chance, depending on how things go, that ultimately is a hat and T-shirt game for the Patriots.
Alex Barth on the Western Hotline. Alex, how good is their defense? I feel like I've seen some good numbers. They do well against the run. And then I've seen some that the pass defense might not be all there. I know they've battled some injuries with Christian Gonzalez. So when healthy, how good is New England's defense?
It's a good unit. The run stuff, the run defense has been excellent. Maybe a couple of cracks last week against the Bucs. They'll get a good test tonight, but they just play so aggressively up front, aggressively but disciplined, that they're able to clog a lot of rushing lanes. It's just when they start missing tackles is really the only way they get burned there. In the pass game, the numbers are weird because they've played a lot of off coverage this year, which was not expected. When you go out, you add a corner like Carlton Davis to Christian Gonzalez, and you bring in these pass rushers, you'd think that you'd play a little more up, a little more press, a little more aggressive. They've played off a lot, so you have teams gaining these chunks, but they've also done a really good job of kind of clamping down when they need to clamp down. They've been one of the better third down teams in the NFL this year, and opponents have, it's not the fewest, but among the fewest trips to the red zone against the Patriots this year. They score a lot when they get to the red zone, so it's this weird thing where when teams get down there, they score, but they don't get down there a lot. So when they need to make plays, they can make plays. It's just they're sort of back to that bend, don't break thing they did under Belichick for a long time.
Where's the fairest questioning of, well, who have you played? Is defense it? I mean, they kept Tampa to 23. They did a good job against the Bills. Is there any room for you on we don't fully know how good their defense is until we see it tested more?
So the weird thing, I don't know if it's about how good they are, but the first few weeks of the season, they were clearly calling the game differently without Christian Gonzalez. He missed the first 3 games of the season. They then play the Panthers in a game that's a blowout early, so they're in pretty vanilla looks most of that game. Then they play Buffalo, and it is that aggressive press man defense that we thought we were going to see all year. Ever since then, they've played a lot of off coverage. So it's not like who have they played, but stylistically, I think they maybe respected the Bills more than anybody else just based on the way they played them. And it'll be interesting to see if Burrow's back against Cincinnati. When they play the Bills again, when they play the Ravens later in the year, are they changing their style? Do they have different styles for offenses that they presume maybe is, lesser than versus real threats? Although the Tampa Bay offense feels like a real threat, and they played a little more off against them.
What do you make of Drake Maye in some places being the MVP favorite? Like, do you think that's a real possibility?
He's made a strong case. I mean, I feel like every week somebody's putting out a stat that Drake Maye has done this. He's the first Patriots quarterback to do it since Tom Brady in 2007. And obviously 2007 Tom Brady, that's pretty much as good as it gets. So, look, Matthew Stafford's having a tremendous year. I think Sam Darnold probably belongs in that conversation. I don't think they'll give it to a running back, but Jonathan Taylor should be. I don't think he's a runaway favorite or anything, but if you want to say he's the favorite, I wouldn't push back, and he certainly belongs on the short list of the guys we're having that conversation about with 7 weeks to go.
Alex, what's Kayshon Boutte's status, and how about also the presence of 2 former Bills receivers here, Mac Hollins and Steph Diggs, as a part of that offense?
So Boutte's still out. He's not going to play in this game. He's dealing with a hamstring injury, and we saw from Christian Gonzalez at the beginning of the year that can be tricky. So you hope with 10 days off he's back when the Patriots come back for their mini-bye against Cincinnati. He did practice a little bit this week after not practicing last week, so it seems like he's trending in the right direction. Maybe they just didn't want to give him the short week. And Mac Hollins was the one who stepped up big with Boutte out last week, goes for over 100 yards for the first time since 2022. Patriots fans were kind of split on that signing. I think there was an idea of, because he signed before Diggs, this is their move at wide receiver, but as a complementary piece, I mean, he makes a ton of tough physical catches. He's been excellent in the run game, plays on special teams. He's really carved out a good complementary role here. And then Stephon Diggs, I was one of the people at the time, Patriots fans wanted Cooper Kupp. They wanted, some of those other older guys that were out there. And like if Diggs is good off the ACL, and that's admittedly an if, but if he's good off the ACL, he's the best guy out there and you're seeing it. Maybe he's not putting up 120 yards every week, but on third downs, his ability to create after the catch and get first downs when catching the ball underneath, and then his leadership ability has been outstanding. He's the one that's breaking down the huddle before the games. The young receivers have talked about what a great asset he's been. He's gone, I think, above and beyond the best expectations that people had for him coming into New England.
Last thing for you. Is there a Travion Henderson breakout that has already begun, or was it just a couple of big runs?
So I don't think he's ever going to be a high-volume guy, but he's definitely somebody who's capable of those big plays. Now, tonight, they're without Ramondre Stevenson again, and Terrell Jennings might not play, too. He's questionable. So that leaves Henderson as the only healthy running back on the active roster. They'll elevate guys from the practice squad, but it does seem like he's going to get a lot of the workload tonight, especially against the Jets team that it makes sense to run the ball against.
Alex Barth on the Western Hotline. Alex, thanks very much. Enjoy the game tonight.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Alex Barth of the Sports Hub, 98.5, the Sports Hub in Boston.